Hi and welcome to The Best Thing You Watched This Week, where Chris from Movies and Munchies and myself, Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday, talk about the best things we watched. This week it's going to be particularly difficult because we watched a lot of poo. Did we not, Chris?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I have one particular poo film to mention right now, OM, The Battle Within. Never see that film. Your eyes will bleed.
Your comments were the funniest thing. I was going to go see it, and then everybody was like, who told you to watch this?
Oh, my goodness. I watch it so you don't have to. We will be doing our podcast thing as per usual this week. Thank you so much for joining us if this is your first time. If you are a returning viewer or listener, thank you once again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And on the audio part, particularly wherever you're listening to the audios, please do rate us. It helps loads. I would like to introduce us to our new mascot.
What is
This
that?
is a thing I'm using now for when I have really, really bad films to review. And at the beginning of one of my reviews this week, I said, my parents always said, don't say anything if you don't have anything good to say. And that's the look. So I'll bring this mascot out when I need to talk about something really bad and I don't want to say anything. And, you know, he can just appear.
Just out of the hint right there of what to expect.
Yeah. First, on the movie quiz last week, who won that, Chris? Because there was no one on mine, but there was someone on yours.
Yeah, well, actually, we had two, and one technically, and then one because of the way that who you were going for.
Right.
So we had Where on Earth, that YouTube user got The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is where that quote came from, your first quote.
The original.
Then we had, then Alien, or is it Aliens?
What was my quote?
Oh, I don't know. You'd have to.
Get away from her, you bitch. I think it's Aliens when she's wearing the mech suit.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's fine.
Maybe this is not anyway. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
But Nostromo, who also got it the previous week, got it Army of Darkness, which is the version that you were going for.
I was going for. Yeah, especially with the way I was acting it with the cough at the end from the. Yeah.
So good. And then Aliens and Wrath of Khan. So congratulations to both of you for knowing what they were.
I really thought the
awesome.
Wrath of Khan one was going to be the trickiest because it's quite an old film and you really have to have watched those films quite a few times to know that.
I did not know that one.
Well,
you definitely stumped me on that.
Okay, so for this week's.
Yes, I'm excited.
Okay. I got to get into character for these, Chris.
I love it. I think this is the best part.
Okay, here we go. Wait, I need a prop for this one. Okay.
Oh, even better. Okay, wait. Wow.
I really should have a torch, but so that should give you an idea, but I'm going to use my phone. Okay.
Yourself. Okay.
I'm scared to close my eyes. I'm scared to open them.
Well done. Well done.
Okay. Yeah, so you should. Oh, now I've got to figure out how to switch my torch off. Great, good stuff. All right, there it is. Okay. All right, that's the first one. Do you know it, Chris?
I'm 99% sure I do, yes.
Okay, cool. I'm just getting the right words. I have this list. You should get this one, Chris.
Uh-oh. No pressure.
Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? Wait, maybe it should be more gruff. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Oh. See, the first time you did it, I thought I knew, but now I'm not so sure.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And for the bonus third one, which I think I'll just keep it like that every week from now.
It's getting into character.
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering. I'll give you a hint. This is from a horror film from 1987. And okay. I don't know that you've seen it, Chris.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Well, I've never heard you talk about this particular franchise. There you go. I've given 2 clues.
Okay.
Yeah. So you might have, but you've never spoken about them.
It doesn't sound familiar. So
nice. Okay.
Okay, good.
There you go.
Good.
Let us know in the comments down below.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the guesses.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm trying to get a little bit trickier because it seems to be too easy. So, yeah.
Well, you can even choose like an obscure quote within a very popular movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, that's...
Eventually, that's probably where we'll get to some random one-liner. But where does that come from? Like, what? Every movie ever? Okay. Cool.
Exactly. I know that
one. But, Chris,
yes.
The question of the week is...
Okay. So, this is a would you rather.
Right.
Would you rather have Velcro hands or Velcro feet?
Oh, what the hell? What kind of question is this? Who comes up with these things? Velcro hands or Oh, I immediately had a Tom Cruise with his gloves on the skyscraper. That wouldn't work with Velcro.
What?
Yeah.
What's red? Dead.
Yeah, dead. Red is dead. I think Velcro on your feet would suck. Because you're walking everywhere. You get stuff stuck to them. Where hands, you can control the directions and you can choose what you want to use it if you get used to picking things up with Velcro hands. I just don't see the practicality in that. Like, if you could take the Velcro off, great. If you can't, then people are just going to get gloves to put over their hands so they don't Velcro anymore.
Very true. Very true.
Which makes them redundant.
Well, and I'm curious at which end of the Velcro it is, you know, because one of them is like the harder, the pricklier type.
Yeah.
At least on your standard Velcro, because that industrial strength Velcro is like, you can't use, like like I have it used to attach some, what are they, surge protectors under my desk, and I I'm with all my force trying to get it off.
Yeah, some of them are strong, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So, what would you do?
I would do feet.
Why?
Well, because I could always wear shoes if I want to, so no big deal there.
Okay.
Especially because if I, any of that's going to just jack me up, and think about wiping. I'm just gonna.
It's true.
It sounds very scratchy to me,
but think about the back scratcher you could have, like.
Yeah, but I mean, I mean, you could really exfoliate in the shower with that. You know what I mean? But my thing would be I would forget about it, especially in that first week or something like that, and I would look like I would just been attacked by like a horde of kittens, just covered in scratches, because I sit there and when I'm watching something or I scratch, just whatever. It's.
You might be right in that. You may well be right.
I'm not sure there's a good answer for that, though.
No, I don't think there is, Chris.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a terrible proposition all the way around.
Yeah. But let us know what you would do.
Yeah, Velcro hands or Velcro feet. You have to choose one. You can't just choose neither. Or would you like both? Now, see, if buildings were made out of fabric, I would be Spider-Man all day long. You would never get off them? Well, yeah, I guess. I'm going to go for the cheaper Velcro so that I can actually, I might fall off it. Me down. Oh, goodness. Okay. Ridiculousness is over. Should we dive in?
Yes, let's dive in.
Cool.
To the best thing we watched this week. And I have one thing without a doubt that was the best. thing I watched this week, and that has to be the last episode of Stranger Things Volume 4. This is without a doubt, this is the best thing I saw this week. It was bonkers. It was crazy. It was too heavy. It was like, it just didn't let up. And then when you get to the ending, you're like, no. No. What did you think, Chris?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we watched the last 2 episodes back to back, and I mean, it was just boom, 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 and the intensity of that final episode. I mean, wow, it just kept going up and up and up, and I found myself towards the end of it where everything is happening in different locations all at the same time. Like I was tense. I really was. I was like, I could feel my heart rate getting a little higher and like leaning up and kind of laughing at myself while the whole time, because I'm like, this is just a show. But I'm like, no, I'm so invested in what's going on.
Like we were trying, Chris and I were like, okay, they're definitely going to kill some characters off. Who are we okay with them? And we're like, no one. These are all family now. Like they're all so integral to the storyline. Even the new characters from season 4. Have to say, there's a clip in the Upside Down. Minor spoilers or spoilers. It's out now, so I guess just kind of that's your warning. But I want to talk about certain points. There's a clip in the Upside Down where Gaten Maserati and the rocker, the punk dude, Eddie. It has to be the most badass scene I've seen in a film for so long.
When he's playing
Metallica on top of the caravan, and like the bats out of hell, are coming towards him, and I'm like, dude, this is amazing.
And you have the red lightning and the clouds in the sky behind him just like lighting up as he goes, and it cranks up, and then you have Dustin counting down.
Yeah. It's so good. Like that scene. My goodness. But like you're right, like in conjunction with all of these things happening at the same time, we're jumping from characters that we've seen for 3-4 seasons now, and so we've got the stuff happening in Russia, and they're fighting the demigorgons and the mutated demigorgons or whatever the Russians have been doing to them. We have the amazing fight scene that as soon as he looked down at the sword, I was like, this is going to be amazing, right? Just like, this is like the adventure moment. Our hero, it's like he's being tortured. He's being when we saw him without his shirt, and just the scars and brutality that he's gone through, and he's lost all that weight as well. You remember he was overweight, so he's just, and the thing that he was thinking about most wasn't being with the woman he loves, but all the food. Like, you totally get what's going on in his mind. But when he picks up that sword, and then it jumps like to 11, who is in a makeshift bath with salt. Can I just say that the pizza guy, brilliant character.
Argyle.
Yeah, Argyle. We need him because it's so intense all the time. The levity that he brings allows you to breathe for a few seconds. Like, we need Argyle. Like, hashtag save Argyle.
Him and the other pizza dude, their conversation. My dude.
Yeah, so good.
It was like mirror dimension right there.
It's really good. Yeah, it's very clever. So we get 11, who she's done an amazing amount of growth in this series. Not only has she retrieved her powers, but she faced her fears with Papa. The whole episode of episode 7 was called Papa. And there's a reason for that, because we get that whole kind of backstory, and she figured out, and I don't know if I'm right, but this is the discussion between Kay and I that we were having, is that we think that he believes his own lies. So he actually genuinely believes that he was doing all that for 11, but 11 figured out that it was always about him trying to find number 1, who was potentially his favorite, or the lost sheep, the lost child. Which is why he sent 11 into the dark to go and find him. Like, and that made it clicked, and it was like, that makes total sense. And he was like, no, who's filling you out? You believe in his lies now? So there's all these juxtapositions that they're going from one group that is just breaking down. But for me, my heart was shouting and screaming no when we see Max. Like, I felt it. Like, I knew it was coming. I was just, but the whole time I was saying no. 11's there. It's gonna be all right. No. And then when you see the, I'm like, no, you can't actually do this.
We were talking about it after the show ended, and I there's been the chatter of who could die, who's on that list, and the whole Steve and Nancy, and Eddie and Dustin, they better not die, and even Robin, you don't touch them, and it was, as I was looking, as we were watching, we started the first of these last two episodes, the thought popped into my head of like, there's something that you always remind us of Stephen King's, Kill Your Darlings. And so I began to think of who would they kill?
Who will have the most impact to the story? Yeah.
Well, and think about this season 4, the character that has been the heart of this season has been Max. This has been her show. This season. I mean, we've seen other people going around, but 11 has been, I mean, she's off on her own journey, but she's been kind of off on the distance, and you get these great moments, but really, because everything in this season is happening to Max. I mean, she's the one that
it's the horror show. So we have the first 3 kills. We see how horrific it is. We see the monster. We see one, or Vecna. And with the 3 names he has, one, Vecna, or what's his name?
What was the other one? I don't know. The whole slash name that Robin does.
Yeah. Slash. Yeah. But yeah. And so Max she almost had a redemption story, because we get to hear why she's been acting like she has, why she retreated, which is also why Vecna kind of chose her, because he has this whole stick in his mind. He's choosing these people who deserve to die, sort of thing. And she comes, and we're like, oh, is that actually true? And then when her ex-boyfriend starts saying it, Lucas starts, I was like, no, you are actually saying that? Are you actually saying that? This can't be real, is it? So well done, those moments.
Oh, yeah, it would just give me chills thinking about it again. That was, that whole interaction, that scene where it's taking place in the house with Lucas and Max and all that goes on there. I mean, it was... oh my goodness, so good. And just like on the edge of my seat the whole freaking time, and then pissed and be like, no.
I'm trying to think of a better bad guy story arc in TV series than we've had recently, because now that we know that the evil, it has always been him. Like, from the beginning, from the Demigorgon, from the Mind Flayer, which he created.
Well, but see, I thought it was the black stuff that he discovers, because that's what changes him. When we watch him...
he sucks it in, but then he shapes because of the spider.
Yes, but I think, the evil, though, while he is evil, the bigger evil is the swirling particle dust thing, the shadow.
I was wondering if he gave it sentience, or he gave it
purpose.
Like, this is what you're going to do. It was just around doing stuff in his planet, until he gave it purpose to say, now I want you to go and kill and focus on these guys and open this door. And then 11 didn't embrace that, so he found his own way with the clocks, which is why I knew Max was going to die, because I was like, yeah, there has to be a 4th. There's going to be a 5th season. It's probably going to be all about that again. He's been the big bad. Which leads me to think how they're going to do the 5th season, because I know they said it's going to be sooner than it took to do season 4, so it won't be 3 years, but it could still be 2 years, which it probably will be. But they kind of need to pick up from that moment where we leave our group, because the sky is changing, everything's coming over, and it looks like it's like a big poster shot. It looks like stuff's about to happen. but they've said time's going to pass.
Yeah.
So that concerns me. Yeah.
Well, see, I see it because of the time jump. I see it as we're going to pick up like in the middle of just crap going on. Like they've
probably.
been, we've seen the beginning of this opening. We know what it can become because we've seen the upside down. And so now we're going to be put into, a few months of their
future past.
Yeah. Devastation and the whole thing there. Yeah. I'm curious at what they're going to do with one of the characters. Well, no, with Max, really. I
think she's dead, honestly. And I think they're going to use her as a bad guy, as a shell, because she's a body now, waiting to be used for...
Ooh, that's dark.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is... I hadn't thought about that.
11 went in, there's no consciousness there. So essentially, she's just a body, right? It's living. Then the machines are pumping it. There's no reason they couldn't write in that in the corner that 11 didn't see there was some sort of consciousness, and 11 goes and massages the synapses, and they start firing, and she comes back. But if I was the writers, I would write her to be part of the evil crew now, because that would be devastating.
That is devastating. Yeah. No, you're right. That would be just terrible. Because then think about Lucas.
Yeah.
Well, any of them, really.
Any of them.
I mean, all of them. Yeah.
And 11 is devastated because this is the first time she's properly lost. I mean, they didn't win this season. They lost. Every mission they tried, everything they tried just failed. And they thought they had won. And he was like, "You've already lost." And it's like, well, have they? They've just burning you to a crisp. That whole fighting was epic, by the way. In conjunction with like him, 11 finally like... what's her name saying fight, and she fights and she frees them. Him on fire, the costume design. I mean, it takes 7 hours just to put the costume on. He has a wee flap apparently.
You'd have to be, yeah.
But he can't touch it because of the fingers and the gloves. So he has an assistant that has to help get his junk out to go and wee. Imagine that's your job. Like, let me not look. And also imagine someone else touching your junk while you gotta wear this. I just thought it was funny. Yeah, it's like, wow, the things you do for because 7 hours of makeup and then 10 hours of filming and then an hour and a half to take it off. Yeah, so you gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah, exactly. When you hope you only have to pee.
Yeah.
Remember Velcro hands?
Yeah. I mean, essentially, that's what he's got. Who's going to... is that too far? Are you going to wipe my butt?
Oh, that's too far. Yeah, that is. Even with a bidet.
So I'm guessing you're drinking a lot,
yeah,
but not eating much at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. No, I liked... the little Halloween nods that we got in this one. The first bunch of parts, we got the definitely some Nightmare on Elm Street vibes and throwbacks there.
Loads,
but this one with not only, I mean, obviously the Michael Myers mask, but when they run out of the house where Vecna had fallen through the window onto the ground, and then he's not there.
He's not there.
At least the body's not there. You know what I mean? It was like,
I mean, that's the first thing we say to her. Betty's not there when he. Yeah. And we're like, damn it. Oh.
Oh, no, that was good. That was, yeah. The series, I mean, definitely worth the wait.
We were talking about the break and like why they did that. There was someone else that mentioned on, I think, Facebook, on my Ruby Tuesday book, he kind of reviews these series as well, but written format. And one of the things he said was what this felt like was a TV event, because we had that hour and a half, which was kind of like a movie in itself, because hour and a half movies, we have them all the time. And then we had a 2.5 hour movie. And it really felt like it was something special that we were watching, like the end of the season, 2 big feature films really ending that and kind of setting up for the next one. And I have to agree. I was like, yeah, it did feel like we're watching something really special.
Yeah, absolutely, hands down. And I think this is why I think, is I'm now spoiled like most people by Netflix, and I really appreciate the binge sessions. I don't like as much the whole weekly releases because it bothers me. I don't want to wait. But I do believe that this season of Stranger Things could have benefited from a weekly release, that I think people would have carved out time every single week to sit down and watch this, because you had an hour, you know what I mean, or more in each episode. There is so much to ingest and digest from each of these that, I mean, could you imagine having to sit with some of the ones where it's just like, okay, we're here with this right now. You know what I mean? For a whole week, we have to wrestle with the emotion that we felt, whether that be exciting or devastation, and then come to the last two episodes where you have 4 hours together and give us those final two episodes. But
yeah,
it was good.
Before we move on from Stranger Things, there was a moment when the Walkman was crushed and Max is in the air. I thought after he had beaten it that he was going to sing.
I did too.
And I thought that would have been awesome. Like, his love is strong enough. He might not sing it well, but she'll recognize it because it's been playing, and it's the thing from the person that she loves who is singing the song that she loves. I thought that would have been a really great way to break it, but I guess that just didn't work for the story.
Yeah.
But that's what I thought was going to happen.
I did too. Yeah, I instantly thought that, we get to hear Lucas sing now.
Right.
And we heard him sing a little bit with Max when they were making fun of Dustin.
Yeah. The never-ending story song. Yeah.
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 Oh my goodness. Oh.
Great season, great end to it. Now we have to wait 2.5 years. But okay.
That's depressing.
What is, other than this, because I know you had a Met week, so what was actually good?
It's funny, the rest of my stuff is not new, but it was new to me. So I watched this movie. It was a recommendation, and it's called The Innocents, and it is Norwegian. It's a horror. I mean, it is a very quiet horror. It's a psychological thriller-ish.
You compared it to another film I love.
Chronicle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have all these young kids who have powers. Now in Chronicle, they touch something that gives them powers. In this one, the kids just have powers, and it's not explained why, and that's okay. I like that part. Doesn't bother me at all. I mean, we live in a world with superheroes. You know what I mean? So to have somebody that has something weird or whatever, I think there's one scene, and I talked about it in my review, that it has animal torture, and it went on for way longer than it needed to.
Gosh.
And it, I couldn't do it. It almost made me turn off the movie.
Wow.
Now the rest of the movie is phenomenal.
Did you skip?
I muted it.
Right.
And then I looked down and I would look up every now and then because I could tell what was coming. And then when I saw the first action, I was like, oh no, I can't do this. That's my wife was almost in tears knowing what was coming. I mean, she put her head in a pillow and was like, you have to tell me
when it's over.
When it's over. Yeah. And even when I said, okay, it's over, she's like, no. I was like, no, trust me. Yeah, exactly. I was like, it's over. I mean, there is an emotion in that becomes important, and so I got to see that at the very end of it. But the scene itself is it's horrifying and horrendous. So I believe that you could give the same character arc and growth in that moment that is achieved by doing it differently. You don't need to show everything that they showed, but. The kid actors, all of them, to the best of my knowledge, they've never been in anything. This is their first thing. And they killed it. I mean, it is a very quiet movie. It's more emotive than it is dialogue. And you watch what happens when unhappiness or jealousy or Those are probably the two of the strongest ones. Anger, fester especially in a child who doesn't necessarily have all of the coping skills, and then doesn't have, from what we see, doesn't really have any parental input. Because they live in this apartment complex. Two of the characters look to have single parents, which is not a knock to them. I mean, they're doing their best within there, but that means that the parents are working more and not able to be around the children as much as they would want to. And then the married couple that has the two daughters, they just send their kids out to play. So they're also unattended. But you get to watch what happens when you have all of those negative emotions brewing within a child, and then they can do things with their mind, and how it becomes perverted, how it becomes powerful, and how if somebody's bad or has a bent towards evil, and they exploit that, about how like the limits go away. Like if I can do something with my mind from a distance, then I'm untouchable, really. If you don't know it's me, then, I'm doing really bad things. And so it is there's a small positive outlook to it at the end, but it is still, you're left with devastation. Right. So, I mean, it's a heavy movie to watch.
So it's not a happy ending. Maybe. Not everything works out in the end.
Yeah, no, that there is true loss that comes in this. And that's where I think it's like, oh gosh.
Is it as devastating as The Mist?
I haven't seen the movie or the show. I've only read the book.
Right.
Or the shorts. That's the short story, right? The short story by Stephen King. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know. I can't. It is. It's heartbreaking. Let me say that. I don't think devastation because we don't know the characters as much. I mean, you think about, because we have young actors, if anything negative happens to these young actors, especially if they're not a villain, then that's pretty bad. Right. Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to see something bad happen to a kid.
Yeah. I mean, even in Game of Thrones, we didn't know the kid at the beginning. I think it was the second episode, and he gets pushed out the window, and you're like, dude, you can't do that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So there, I mean, unless it was Joffrey, and everybody wanted Joffrey to
die. Dude, you can do that.
Yes, please hurry up. Dang it. You're taking too long. But I watched it on Amazon. It was for rental. So I don't think it's available on any streaming platform just for free as of yet. It came out in 2021.
What made you choose the rental then? If it's not new,
it was just a recommendation from somebody had said, you know what, this is a really good movie, and I was looking for something different, and not necessarily that is right now, that just came out right this second, because I had never even heard of it. So I figured, you know what, maybe nobody else has heard of it either, or very few people had heard of it either. And so it just, when I watched the trailer for it, and I was like, that looks kind of cool. Looks weird. I'm down for that. And so I'm glad I checked it out. I mean, it really was, as harrowing as it is, it was still really good also.
Nice. I've put it on my list, on my watch list. I think it's you buy it, you don't rent it. It's like £7 or something.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's very interesting. Love Chronicle. I think we've been waiting for a sequel for that for a while.
I don't want a sequel to it though. They've talked about the sequel, but I don't want one. No. I like, because it has an end. I mean, Dane DeHaan,
the director went to do Fantastic Four movie, and that was horrible. So
yeah, poor guy. Yeah, it was just. I think to have Chronicle, let it be its thing. You know what I mean? Like, you have
unique indie superhero film. Let it be that. Yeah,
exactly. With spectacular special effects,
so good for an indie budget. Yeah,
yeah. And then to think about, like, because a friend of mine, when it had come out, we went back and forth on this all the time, because this is, it was, I think, at the height also of found footage films. So, but there is not a scene that is not some sort of camera looking at it, not and not the filmmaking camera, but it is being captured in one way, shape, or form, you know, whether it's a security camera or cell phone footage or whatever. And it's so well put together that, you know, all the different angles that they capture. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely on my watch list. I'm going to talk about a film that came out this week, yesterday. So I saw 2 Indian films. One's called OM. There's Something Within.
The one that you told us not to watch.
Yeah, don't do that. No, seriously, don't do that. The trailer lies to you. It says it's an all-out explosive extravaganza, and it just isn't. They are great action sequences, but slow-mo, just it's just bad. It's just bad. However, there is a film that came out on Sundance, I believe, in 2021, or might have been earlier than that, called Rocketry, The Nabmi Effect, and it's based by the life of a scientist named Nabmi, who was framed for being a spy and then I think arrested in 1994, and then he's free, but he's still fighting the police officials who falsely implicated his life. So it's a real story that has real effect for the people that I guess have grown up with that story. It has there needs to be justice for it. If I think I mentioned to you earlier, like the sort of thing with Mandela, Nelson Mandela, you know, when apartheid happens, that's the sort of cultural relevance. So there's a lot of people talking about this film like it's like one of the best films ever made, and it's, you know, I think socially it needed to be made. It's a story that people have wanted to be told. Okay. Now, I think the cinematography is excellent in this, and I think the acting for the most part is good. However, the way it's pieced together as a movie is all over the place. For example, the beginning does a sort of it catches you up on his life, on how smart he is. It's almost like the Rocky montage, but it's longer than that. You get to see it, they try to explain it to you, it might go over your head a little bit, and then we go to an interview where it's much later on, and I think the interview is by some guy that's quite famous. I don't know him personally, but I saw somebody mention about him, like in real world, and then they've entering the actors playing Nabmi, and so it juxtapositions like way older, and it does that throughout. And I would say that the first half of the film feels really like they're puzzle piecing, trying to catch you up into his life story, but then the second half is more the spycraft, and that's a more interesting story of what he was actually doing, how he actually did it. So he's trying to get certain pieces of what he has built out, and how that goes about. There's actually a little bit Bond in certain parts of the film. Like, that was really fun, and I really wanted to see more of that. And I think you, Chris, would really appreciate the cinematography of some of the shots that you see, wide landscapes, some comedic moments that I wasn't expecting. But it also is very informative. You feel like you're learning history. And I think it's told in such a way that it's not a documentary, but you really feel like you're downloading like schematics of a time that you just knew nothing about. I certainly had never heard about this story. In a whole, I was like, this is fantastic, because I think everybody does need to know, especially if you're Indian or trying to know. Let me check. I'm trying to think of which one this is specific to. I wonder if it'll tell me. It won't. I do know this is an interesting film in the way it's filmed, because it's got 3 languages. It was filmed in multiple locations. There's English speaking in it, then there's Hindi in it, and it jumps to another language. It feels like a multicultural event, which also makes it feel like it's all over the place. Does that make sense? Because you're jumping from one language to another, you're jumping from scene, you're jumping from time. It just feels like the editing needed to be tighter. Now, I think people are going to be upset with Ruben's like, Ruben, how can you say that? I totally get it. Like, for me, if this was a personal story about Nelson Mandela, I don't think I would see anything wrong with that movie. I'd just be like, this is perfect. Everybody shut up and learn. And the fact that this is still going on and there hasn't really been justice yet. I would say, if you're into this type of film, you will enjoy it, but it's not the extravaganza film that we've come to expect from these type. But it is a well-told story with first half pacing issues. I think that is more concise as I can put it.
Is it kind of like a dramatized documentary?
Yeah, it's a biopic, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But it was on my list to maybe check out this weekend because it was playing.
Well, if you do, let me know like which half of the film, because I know some people love the way they put it together at the beginning, but I just felt like that was all over the place. But the second half seems to really work much better. And it's not as long, it's not as epic as some of them, which I appreciate, because some of those are just like 3.5 hours long. This one is 2 hours 37 minutes, so it's still creeping up there, but
that's hefty.
Yeah, but it's still, maybe I just didn't feel it as much.
And it sounds like part of it could be a cultural type of thing, like you know what I mean, like because you're coming in totally blind. I'm
Absolutely.
assuming, right?
Yeah,
You
knew nothing.
Me, I would be coming in completely blind on this, so I am totally reliant on all of the information coming to me. And I've watched a bunch of documentaries where they bounce around in the timeline, which if you know the story, it makes sense. It's easier, it's easy to follow. But if you're unfamiliar with it, it does make it a little bit more difficult sometimes to be like, wait a minute, where are we at now? Versus just give it to me chronologically, put it, you know what I mean? Make it very cohesive so that pretend like I'm the dumb American who doesn't know about this. But again, it's cinema, so it's made for potentially a world audience. I would hope a world audience.
It got something like a 10-minute standing ovation at Sundance, apparently.
Wow. Wow. That is really long. I mean,
think long. I don't understand.
Because you hear about those at Cannes also.
For 10 seconds, and then move on. Yeah.
Yeah. What? I mean, that's ridiculous. Honestly,
because
there was one.
Aren't you making the other film run over as well? Like.
Yeah, that was like a 12. I think Elvis had a 12-minute standing ovation. No, I loved Elvis. I thought it was a great movie, but 12 minutes. I mean, if we were to sit here for 12 minutes and just not do anything, my attention span cannot hold that. I got to go, and I can't. My hands couldn't take clapping for 12 minutes. So
exactly.
Anyway,
yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, it sounds intriguing. At least, I'm glad to hear like some of the cinematography is wonderful.
It may be one that you could wait to watch. Like, I don't think it needs to be seen at the cinema.
It's not a rush right out there because it's not a cinematic event, right?
No, I mean, there are cinematic moments, but the whole film, it's just a good story.
Okay.
The sort of thing like King Richard, you'd watch that at home quite easily. Yeah.
Okay. Sweet.
So what's next on your list?
Funny enough, mine is also an Indian film.
Hey, cool.
But mine is actually a two films that I have to count as one.
Oh yes, I saw you reviewed these. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, these had been Baahubali. One.
You said that well. Well done.
It took me a while, and I had to I had to.
But you need to say with the accent, Chris.
I can't. No, I'm not going to offend people like that.
Baahubali. Look,
no. But there were some where they screamed. It was like Baahubali.
All right.
I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Nice.
So there's Baahubali, the beginning, and then Baahubali 2, the conclusion.
All right.
And excuse me, you literally the first one ends in the middle of the story.
Oh wow! So you cannot just watch the second one or just the first one.
No, it is a combined. I can't imagine going. I mean, it's like watching Harry Potter, the last Harry Potter movie, Deathly Hallows, and we know that it was split into two parts, part 1 and part 2. Now, luckily, we only had it was less than a year between the release of that. Yeah. This one, at least according to the dates on IMDb, there was a 2-year gap.
Oh my gosh!
But
I mean, it's not Avatar, is it? Yeah.
Well, this is true. But Avatar had an ending to it. I mean,
true.
There's
true.
That's true. So this movie, it is a period piece, and it is like just battle epic at points. We spend the first part of the movie of one watching this character named Sivu, who is he was found as a child escaping from something, and we don't know why, but he is drawn to this place. And so he finally gets to this place. He meets this warrior who is trying to free somebody who's captive. And because Sivu, has fallen in love with this warrior, he takes on her quest to save this person. Well, when they get there, there's some battle goes on, and then we get all of the backstory. And
so they go backwards in time.
They do, yeah,
right,
to show how all of this has come about. And it is a battle over a kingdom, warring brothers and scheming. There's political, just like backstabbing.
Can you compare it to like RRR, or like in terms of epic and big scenes?
The action, yes. There are a lot of those. Now, it's by the same director as RRR.
Oh, is it? Okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you're going to see similarities there. There is a lot of slow-mo in there. Some of it works. Some of it made me laugh because it's like a dude just walking down a hallway.
I know. I don't understand that. Just due to epic music, I've just walked into the room. I'm going to sit down on this couch, like but it's also going to be slow-mo.
Exactly. Yeah, that part of it, I'm like, we didn't need that. But
we did. Yeah. Okay.
It's really good. And then we get into the second part, which still is in the flashback. Right. And so the 2/3 of the second movie are flashback. And you get so much context for what's going on. I mean, excuse me, again, the political scheming. I mean, like, think of Game of Thrones. Like all of the backstabbing and all the chess moves and everything. Now, some of it you see, and you can tell what's going to happen and everything. It didn't bother me. The action is monstrous. Some of the CGI, a little wonky at times.
That's always sometimes the case, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I liken it though that they're. I mean, first off, this was like 2015, 2017. So it is a few years ago. And I mean, come on, we just had a recent, like this past month, Disney not being able to de-age Hayden Christensen. So I'm not, it is what it is.
It is what
I
it
mean?
doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't take me out of the movie.
It's not terrible
bad.
that you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally. It was. I mean, there were parts where it's like, oh, I could tell that's totally painted or digitally. The background is digitally inserted there. Okay, whatever. Like, they didn't make this gigantic set and this kingdom for this movie. I understand that. You know what I mean? Not a big deal. Then the final act brings us back into the present. From where we started at the beginning of the first movie. And you get more epicness in that, just the battle sequences, the fighting. I mean, you feel, because you've gotten all this context, you feel for our hero. Like there's devastation that happens on a few of the characters, like, because we've watched their arcs both of the movies are they're like 2.5 hours each. So it's like a 5-hour watching experience. And but with that, you're along for that ride. So you feel for a lot of these characters, you're totally invested in them. And when something bad happens to them, it's heartbreaking. And you cheer for them at the moments, and you're like, oh no. And then there's redemptive arcs, and then
nice.
It's on Netflix, at least in the US. I think worldwide it might be on Netflix. And
it's on the UK, so it must be pretty much worldwide. Yeah.
Yeah, it had been on my list for a while. There's a couple of different versions also. I watched the Tamil version, but I think somebody had mentioned that the Telugu is the original language. So if you have ability to watch that one, I guess watch that one instead.
I mean, I don't speak Telugu, so I don't think it matters either way. Is there differences in the film? Like, is it edited differently?
I don't think so. I think it might be just the because you figure you're probably hearing the original actor's voice in that. Okay. Like I didn't know though. I was hard pressed to see that it was dubbed. I mean, this one was so
very well done.
They did a really good job. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. Great.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about next. A couple of choices. So anyway, next week, I'm very much looking forward to Thor: Love and Thunder. Thursday. I didn't want to go down to London because, as we know, it cost us ridiculous amounts of money. So I'm just going to wait till Thursday morning and then hopefully go and watch it. So in prep for that, Kay and I have been watching some of Thor stuff. So we watched Thor. We watched Thor: The Dark World. We watched Avengers because after Thor, you kind of need to watch Avengers because the whole of Avengers is low-key wreaking havoc with the... I can say the Illuminati, but that's not who they are. Those aliens. Chitauri, thank you. The Illuminati, yeah. And we're going to work our way. It was very interesting, actually, trying to figure out how much... You can't just watch Thor's movies. You watch Thor Ragnarok, and after Ragnarok finishes, it finishes at the beginning of Infinity War, the two-parter. And so then you got to watch what happens to Thor, because his whole arc in Thor and Endgame are massive. What happens to that character, which leads us to the beginning of Thor: Love and Thunder. So anyway, so we're halfway there. I'm not sure we're going to rewatch Loki, because I watched that recently, and I don't even know if Loki's going to appear in Love and Thunder. I haven't seen any artwork to do with that. So, but he's never dead, is he? He's just he's in some dimension somewhere. But what was surprised by is Thor, the first film, is still good. Because you never know. You watch it so many times. It's like, is this going to have age? Is this not as good as I remember? Am I not going to enjoy it as much? You go and watching these again, and it's still tight. It's still a really good origin story. It's one of the first times we've seen in the MCU another planet, and they start the movie off like off-world. It's not Earth. It's not Iron Man. It's not Captain America. It's not on Earth somewhere. But we're getting to see Asgard and the Nine Realms, and it really gives us an idea of this is a much bigger universe than superheroes. Yeah. It's great. And then the Dark World, I don't think it deserves all the hate it gets. There's a lot of moments in that film that actually really work. I really wish they'd done the Dark Elves some justice, because I just felt like there's so much more story in there that they just hasn't done well. It was interesting to see the relationship change between Odin and Thor as well. They've come past it. He's learned a lot. He doesn't actually want to be on the throne anymore, and Loki still wants to be on the throne. So there's that change in dynamic. And then that is where we start seeing Thor's world start crumbling, because that's the part where we see his mother die. And it's like it's a big moment for that character, because I think that's the moment where they start writing him, where his psyche starts breaking. You see him start changing and start to try and deal with the fact that things are just he might be the god of thunder, but there are so many more powerful beings than him. Even fighting with the Avengers on Earth, you see him starting to realize that he can't fix everything just with strength. Which I think is a big learning curve for him. So we've been watching those. Very interesting to see that they still hold up. I think the weakest of the three that we've watched was the Avengers. That aged somewhat. The characters that we've seen have come such a long way since then, how they act at the beginning, you're just like, oh, you're still like that. Oh no. The action is fine. The action sequence at the end is great. It takes a long time to get there. You still got to go through the whole Avengers not being assembled. They're just arguing with each other. Loki messes with them. That's like an hour and 15 minutes, and then you get 20 minutes of action sequence at the end of them fighting the Chitauri and Iron Man doing his thing. But most of the film is just them trying to assemble.
The Battle of New York is only like 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's not as long as you think it is. Yeah.
It's more like
they get to that bit where they finally come together, they have a plan, and then, Hulk smash. The epic moment, that's my trick. I'm always angry. Yeah. Smash.
Well, because that's funny because like then you go to end game and that battle is an hour long.
It's an hour-long battle. Yeah. We've come a long way since then. It might be longer than 15 minutes, but there's stuff that happens in between, I guess, that they cut to. So some of the characters in the battle are doing different things in different locations. But I think that the proper ending battle is not very long. And then Tony gets his PTSD from that moment, and then it takes 2 films to learn how to deal with it. But yeah, that's been a lot of fun. That's what we've been up to this week, kind of catching up on Thor for Thor: Love and Thunder. Hopefully we'll be ready next week.
Nice. Well, and Ragnarok is still your
still my
favorite
number one. Yeah,
MCU movie. Yeah,
I am wondering if like it'll be pushed over from this one. I've heard very mixed reviews for Love and Thunder, which is good because Ragnarok had the same. People were like, "Oh, this is way too much comedy. What are you doing? You're ruining it." And for me, that was like, you guys haven't read Planet Hulk. You haven't seen some of the stuff that goes on with Thor and the levity, because his story is so dark, is actually really sad. You need that. Yep. So I'm really looking forward to it. So we'll see.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I am too. Thursday evening, we're going as a family to see it. So yeah. I'm nice.
What's next on your list?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have anything else?
I'll just carry on talking then. Okay.
Cool.
There is an anime called Bastard, heavy metal dark fantasy, that I think everybody needs to see with their families. It's family friendly.
Stop your lies.
Okay, so I did have some comments saying, Ruben, you still haven't seen many adult anime yet, because this is tame to compare to those. And I was like, really? Because I was showing you some clips this week of like anime called Legend of the Overfiend, and I was like, definitely watch that with your family, because that's pretty out there. But this one, I was really glad that they stuck to the manga. Like, I think that's the big issue, is that so many times they're scared of adapting something. If you're going to do it right. And it has a huge fan base. It's like 30 million manga copies have been sold. Like, it's a huge IP. So if they were going to do it, they're going to have to do it right. Now, as far as I'm aware, they have kept to it mostly, but they've still shied away from some of the stuff. Like, we can't show that. We can't do that. So it still has some stuff. If you want to see the nakedness in all its glory, go and read the manga. But it is basically a character that is a bad guy. Bastard. Bastard is a very powerful entity that gets synced to a little kid, who's a really nice kid. So instead of him being a bastard, he spends 14 years with his soul combined with this kid. So it kind of changes him. So he comes out, he transforms with a kiss. So funny. And if you kiss him again, he goes back to being a kid for the time being, or while the shackle is broken. But they need this evil dude to fight other evil dudes. It's like, you fight your enemy with enemy, fight fire with fire, sort of thing. Gotcha. And it's all wizards and wizardry, and it's so classic anime because they say what they're gonna do, or they say they move. Like, it's like, I choose you, Pokemon, use Fireball. It's that sort of thing. I'm using this sort of spell now. Get ready. It's like announcing to your enemy exactly what you're gonna do next. Anime does so much of this. I always shake my head like, why? Why do that? That's not going to help you. Oh, yeah? You think that's your strongest move? Now I'm going to use my trump move. Come forth, dragon, and use sword attack. I was like, okay. Fine. But the fighting was great. The action scenes are beautifully done, nicely animated. The voice work on both the original and the dubbing are actually very good. And the story has quite a clear idea, like, of how much they want to tell in the story. The thing is, it is left on a massive cliffhanger. There's 2 parts, and apparently the second part is coming this year, so we don't have to wait that long, thankfully. Because sometimes with Netflix, it can be like 3 years before you get the next part, and you're like,
and then it's cancelled.
Yeah, or it's cancelled. I saw a number of things cancelled this week. actually. Time Traveler's Wife, that was cancelled. I was very annoyed.
Oh, that's HBO, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so adult, definitely for adults. Don't watch with your family around. Pretty pervy, classic anime, old school. Think Ninja Scroll, Legends of the Overfiend. I think those old 80s, 90s anime that really kind of pushed the boundary of what you were seeing at the time, that your little teen kids were like, whoa, can they show that? Oh, they can. Cool. Lots of blood and guts and gore. Nice. It's the sort of anime that like young teens will be snuck into the room, like watch quietly and going, this is so cool. And also, if you get caught, you're in trouble, right? You're grounded. What is this? And the parents always pick the worst absolute moment to come in. The timing of parents is amazing. Yeah. It was still fun. I enjoyed it. So,
nice. Right on. Very cool.
That's everything, because the rest I watched, which was a lot, which I'm surprised you didn't talk about, because I thought maybe you were going to like the new Disney princess movie, The Princess, because you were really excited to. Ruben, I'm excited to watch this one, but I noticed you didn't say anything, Chris.
No,
you didn't mention it, Chris.
I'm going to be posting my review. Well, it'll come out before this podcast does, but
right.
Yeah, so I saw that it was announced, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure about this. And then I watched the trailer, and I was like, oh, hello, wait a minute.
Yeah, we both went, yeah, that looks fun.
Yep, and then I watched it, and when there is action, I was enjoying the movie. There are times where they do a lot of quick cuts, but there are some where they don't. I mean, the camera's right there. It's a continuous
really good
take. Yeah, just a lot of fun, immersive. I mean, it takes place in one setting. Like, she's in the tower. That's all it is. You know what I mean? And
it's
trying
like
to
the
escape
raid
from
in
that.
reverse.
Yeah.
Great.
So it like, that didn't bother me. I had fun with that. I was entertained. It was only 90 minutes. So there you go. You've got that working for you. The story itself, though, is absolute poo. I don't even care. I mean,
I couldn't stand the British bad henchmen either. They were so over the top. God blimey, in it. Like, dude,
it was even Dominic
cringe.
Cooper was like, seriously,
Cooper,
dude?
who's like Preacher, as like my favorite adapted, brilliant. I was just like, who gave you your lines? Because you were just phoning it in for sure. Like, this is awful.
Well, the acting, I think, all the way around was just terrible.
Yeah.
So the only reason to watch is from the action. And I again, I thought the action was a lot of fun. And luckily they put a lot of action in there so that there's not a lot of downtime. There are some moments of downtime in there, but it sustained me. Like, I could put up with it. My wife had checked out. She was like, and my daughter-in-law both they were like, this is just absolute trash. What are we watching this? There's no story. I don't care about the characters. I don't. Yep. And I'm like, well, yeah, okay, sure. I
think I cared about the trainer more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. She was awesome too.
She was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were some action scenes that I thought were ridiculous though. There was some just nonsense. I don't know if you caught it, but there's one henchman that there were 3 steps, and he does a flip down the steps.
Yes.
I laughed. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Walk down the steps.
Yeah, as he was coming around the
flip.
No,
it's like, why? Stop it. There's another bit on the outside where the trainer, she's got like her double swords, and these 2 guys run at her. They hit the swords and do a backflip. Like, she's barely touched them, and they've just gone blank, and they do this. And then they're knocked out, and I'm like, what just happened?
Well, and when the princess sneaks in into the room, she went through the sideways passage, like between the walls and everything. She sneaks into the room where it's filled with all of these soldiers, and she does this roll behind to get to behind the chair. And you're like, first off, you're wearing white, so this huge movement that you just did would draw everybody's eye.
Saw you. Yeah. It's like walking into a movie theater, like you're the last person, and you open the creaky doors. Now everybody in the cinema is going to turn and look at you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. I mean, if you want some decent fighting, then it's worth checking out. But you have to know going in that the story is poo. The characters are just there. I mean, I think we're supposed to care about them because, well, you have somebody in peril. It's a bad guy against a good guy, and so you're supposed to care about this. But
the bad guy has no backstory whatsoever.
No, he just wants to be in power.
He goes, I don't get to marry her. Fine, I'm going to kill everybody. That's your story.
Yep. I will rule by force then.
It's like,
okay.
Good.
Why didn't you just do that to begin with then? I don't understand.
Anyway, yeah. But yeah, some of the fight sequences were really good. Yeah.
The rest of my week, unfortunately, was
just followed suit. Yeah.
And some of it wasn't terrible. It just wasn't good. That was the thing. You know what I mean? Like it just, I felt myself being like wastes of time, and which is unfortunate. So, whatever.
Fingers crossed for next week.
Yes, there's a lot coming out, which we will discuss in our audio only section in the podcast.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, we thank you for watching this. Like, share, subscribe. Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday. I'm Chris with Movies and Munchies. You can always tweet at us at Best We Watched. We are on the Twitters there. We would like you to know, if you've never checked it out, take a look at our Patreon opportunity, patreon.com/thebeardedones. New content each week. We are this week going to be doing a special video where we are talking about a Stranger Things theory, which I'm excited for. But I think it could be, I'm excited for the discussion, but the idea of it could be really awesome, but I could also see it being just pissing everybody off. So anyway, so you could head over to Patreon, check that out. With that, check out our podcast, which is going to contain some entertainment news, the things we're looking forward to, general nonsense, stuff like that. We'll link it in the descriptions below, but you can also just head over basically to any podcast platform that you happen to listen to and check us out on there. Take us for a walk. Take us while you're cooking dinner, on your way to work. Doesn't really matter. Just have two weirdos in your
listen
ears.
to us at work and, while you're doing your spreadsheets.
We will make the day go by faster. I promise. There is a money back guarantee because you didn't spend anything. So, all right. With that, we'll see you next week. Thanks. Take care.